Parents, I'm gonna. Hello, it's me unapologetically T. It cut off. So I'm happy. Like that went strong. All right, so I will say like eighth grade we moved. So I had lived in the same townhomes since I could remember. So I think about 3 to what age would it be when I get to middle school? Whatever that age was. I know it was like at least 10 years. So like maybe 13. Um 13, 14. So it was at least 10 years in that place. So I was very stationary. Didn't move a lot, none of that stuff. I do remember when I went to high school though, I used to beg my mom, like, can I go to a different school? Like, can you, put me in a different school? We looked into it and Richmond had started the opening up of if you could get your child to the school, you could potentially apply to a school outside your district and have your child there. However, you had to have transportation. My mom did not have transportation. We didn't have transportation on and off throughout my childhood. It just wasn't going to work. So, and even if at that moment she would have had transportation, she wouldn't have been able to take me back and forth. Um, so yeah. So eighth grade we did end up moving, and that's when I went to Elkhart. I moved to a completely new neighborhood. That's where I meet my best friend. We used to call each other like us the Stansbury crew. It was so whack. But I love it. I love the Stansbury crew. So but yeah, I moved over there and I went to Elkhart. Being a new kid, Elkhart was a lot better than Bouchard. Like Elkhart actually felt like a school. Bouchard felt like jail. I can't hold you. Like Bouchard felt like fucking jail. But I met some really great people there, and so it is what it is. Even with me being in honors, it felt like jail. I had a math teacher. She used to cuss us the fuck out. Not us as in me, but she used to cuss out them students. Like it was provoked. They would cuss her out. She would cuss them the fuck out. Like I remember her standing up on a desk for the little boy, and they used to go at it like every fucking class. I don't think I learned because they was going at it every fucking class period. I think her name was Miss Langford. Like Miss Langford ain't play. I think that's what Christine or Christian Langford. I don't remember, but I know she knew her shit and she could teach. However, her and that little boy used to go at her all the time. Like me and her we bonded outside the classroom too. Cause I saw the real side of her. Like it was like, if you respect me, I'm gonna respect you. And that's just what it was. But yeah. Ooh, that just made me think about like, what's that physics we was taking? We was taking some type of math that was just it was going over my head. It might not have been just physics class that we was taking, but it was like we had to learn physics in that science class, and it was just like I love physics, but I don't like physics. It's a love-hate relationship. Who wants math and science? Like just keep math and math. That's why I don't like chemistry that much. If it wasn't for the study of elements and making some shit, making something out of nothing, I wouldn't like chemistry. Because then it would just be science and math. Or just math. But in organic, who the fuck invented you? But I've digressed. And I would say that middle school at Elkhart, it felt more like school. So it felt, looking back at it, it felt like school. It still was very social. Like it still was very social, but I felt like you got a range of like a different, like it was a nice balance of students. Like, I felt like you had poor students, you had students that was middle class, you had students, I don't think nobody was wealthy there, but you know, it was a nice balance. I feel like with Bouchard, like, it was just a lot of us was poor. And it was level to our opponents. And but Elcott, I feel like it was a different mix of students. You got middle class, and then you had Poe, and I like that experience way better. I do feel like there were certain teachers that I just remember I will never forget. Like, I remember my history teacher, Mr. Muhammad. He used to give me books. Like, I was reading books about people being in caves and coming from the caves and these theories, and like I just want to thank him for that. Like, it was an extension of my education. Like, he gave me books about untaught history, and the fact that he identified in me that would be an interest was awesome too. So I love that in him. I love that he saw something in me, and that, you know, he would nurture. I would get teachers like that on and off throughout my educational experience. Like I said, when you get to middle and high school, it's like you get to like pick which teachers you're gonna remember. But middle school was definitely part jail, and then there was some kind of mix of, you know, it's okay. I do remember that I finally got to get in a space when I went to Elkhart. So when I went to Elkhart, I don't think Bouchard had a space. Like, and if they did, like, I told you, like, my expertise checked out there. So my expertise definitely checked out in 6th grade. I would say I started trying again in 8th grade because I had a group of friends who used to try, but I still was not trying like they was. Like, so, and I think by that time it was just like a lot of chaos and confusion had happened in my life. I will say after school activities at Bouchard, like, definitely was awesome for me. Because some days I didn't want to come home, far as like the afternoons. So that did good. So I signed up to play like basketball. I couldn't play shit. But it was something that I did just so I didn't have to come home. The girls on the team that could play, y'all was mean as shit. Fuck y'all. Y'all cooled on now, but fuck y'all back then. I did not like y'all. Y'all did not like me. Just because I was different. So, but y'all cool now. Then, yeah, I played volleyball. I think we had to play volleyball in order to play basketball. I think I actually played 2 again at Elkhart. So I just carried on that. And though I would say, like, as a child, like, I always would, like, play and run. I am not a long distance runner. I'm a sprinter. Even in my fat, overweight days, I could sprint like nobody's business. But to tell me to keep that shit up, the stamina is 0. The cardio is trash. I wonder, you know, if I built it up because I don't smoke anymore right now. No, I ain't gonna say right now I don't smoke anymore. Like, I am where? I'm gonna say December. I haven't smoked cigarettes since December. Look at me. I'm gonna brag. Let me stop. Like, I need to brag on my shit. Like, it's hard to quit cigarettes. Nobody talks about that. They talk about crack. They talk about heroin. They don't talk about fucking quitting some cigarettes. Like, that shit is tough. It is fucking hard. Nobody talks about the withdrawals. Like, baby, I see a lighter and I just like it's like smoking crack. But I see the lighter flag and I'm just like, damn, don't you want a cigarette? But my cravings are less and less, and even when I do have this cravings, I do have the smoker's aid that I bought from the local Botanica, and it is different herbs, and there's no tobacco in it, there's no nicotine, no menthol. So I'm proud of myself, and I do that like maybe every once in a while, or if I know I'm going around smokers, I will bring my fucking smoker's aid and my pipe, and I will hit my pipe with y'all. But I will do that because if that, it still triggers me if I'm around a smoker, even though it stinks now, and it always stinks, but it stinks even more when you don't smoke them, because like when you smoke them, you kind of get used to it. But even when you like, so when you go around other people that smoking, like the stage I'm in, I have to take the pipe and bring the smoker's aid, and I bring my little pestle and mortar and be grinding up my little herbs, looking like a little witch, and and yeah, I go at it. So I just need to toot my own horn on that. That was a tidbit, had nothing to do with education, but let's get back to it. So I don't know where I left off, but we gonna just go like, so I do like the element of after school activities. I do feel like when I went to Bouchard, we did have like African dance, we had cheerleading. I applied for African dance. I'm a white girl when it comes to dancing. I be trying to tell people this. Like, when you tell white people that you, as a black person, has been deemed that you can't dance, white people be like, everybody can dance. And it's like, if you are in the black community, baby, you can't dance. Everybody can't dance. Some of us are gifted with the gift of flowing with the music. I can do a good ass jig. I can twerk a little bit. I cannot strip or twerk. If you're looking for that, I cannot give it to you. I might need to go take some classes. But I can do a jig. Like, I'm the jigger. Like, I'm the girl who's in the club, up against the wall, you know, cup in the hand. Like, that's me. That's I. So yeah, but like formal dancing, like it was like 2 left feet when I tried out for African dance. I loved African dance though. It was so beautiful to watch. I wish I would have got it together. She told me to try out next year. My feelings was hurt. But I do remember one girl, she used to kill it. But yeah, so like I used to do like a little different stuff. I remember we got a rock climbing wall, which was cool. Like black kids with a rock climbing wall, that was cool. So I am gonna point out some of the good things, and I'm gonna point out the negative things. I do feel like Bouchard, we had a lot of teachers who were burnt out. Looking back at it, we call them the teachers that didn't give a fuck, but they were the teachers that were burnt out now that I have experienced education. High school. Well, when I went to Elkhart, that's 8th grade, preparation for high school. Had no plans, really. My high school would have been Huguenot at that time. My friends were going to TJ, which was the IB program they were getting into. Because I came in at 8th grade and they were there from 6th grade on up, they had a relationship with the counselor that I did not have. And I did not get the options that they got. Like, they were kind of like, you know, given these options. I very well could have advocated for myself and been like, you know, can I get the application for the IB program? And I might have did, and I just might have looked at it and I was like, nobody got time for all that. And I do remember too, I remember being in a state of, I was not, mentally I just wanted to change. Mentally, I knew I lacked a form of discipline in a sense, because like my anger had started to get more and more. It started to increase. And so I felt like going to military school would help get that shit in order before I would crash out and, you know, fuck my life up. And it didn't. But I think it made me angrier. I think it made me angrier. So I had kept hearing about, you know, the military school and just thought that shit would be so dope. I have a military family background on my dad's side, like big military background. I'm not quite sure about my mom's side. I do know I have some family members. I even have an aunt who went into the military. She went to the Air Force as well. My dad was in the Air Force. But I had an uncle in the Army, grandfather, I think he was in the Army. But yeah, so and I had cousins, female cousins that went to the military. So, definitely a big history of military. So I was like, trying to find these. I think we don't realize it when we're young, but it's like you navigating these paths. So I was like, I'll try the military school. So, this was my first school that was a smaller population. I was going to be starting over again with friendships because I had that friendship for just that year that I moved over to that neighborhood and to that school. So, this was going to be my new start. This was going to be me figuring out me. And go to this military school. First of all, it's structured. I look back, I love my experience at Franklin. And I did have some really great impacts of educators in my life. One that I still speak to today. But still so many that I don't speak to, but they made like a big impact on my life. And they probably don't even realize it. But so when I went to Franklin, it was a new start. I chose to go. So it wasn't like my parent forced me to go. A lot of people, their parents was forcing them to go, but I chose to go. And my friends, like I said, chose TJ, the IB program. And I don't know what it was with their experience over there, but they ended up coming over here to Franklin. And yeah, they ended up coming over. Some of them, I think, ended up there too. Like some people chose that too from, I think it was like maybe, what did I say, three of them that chose it. 3 girls that chose, no, 2 girls that chose it that came from Elcott. And maybe their parents chose it, I don't know. But I just do remember like 2 of them was already maybe there when I went too. And then 2 of my friends came. My closest friends came. And I had already started forming new relationships with people. And the way the school was set up was, it was set up military style. Like, so your freshman year, you're a rat. It's supposed to be this humbling experience to teach you discipline and authority and respect. But literally what happened is you had to respect the rank and the upperclassmen. And you coming in as a ninth grader, and you got like 10th, 11th, 12th graders that's just like over you, and you looking up to them, or you looking at them like their authority figure. That was problem number 1. Cause I said fuck authority. I didn't give a shit about nobody. And I never was like this person that like started a problem for nothing. I don't like nobody telling me what the fuck to do. And that was a humbling experience, because it was like, if you got caught doing some stupid shit, or if they just wanted to fuck with you that day, it was like, I could see you in the hallway and I could tell you drop and give me 50 push-ups. Like, we literally had to do push-ups, and like, we literally, like I said, sometimes it was just unwarranted and you had to do this shit. So it was a humbling experience in that sense. But when it was my turn to be an upperclassman, which I never really gave a shit to make rank, I barely passed my when they give you the packet to study for your rat test, because they called it a rat test, like at the end of the year, maybe not at the end of the year, but like closer to the end of the year, like you take your rat test, and that'll decide which rank you get, and once you go on to 10th grade. And I ain't studied that shit at all. I did learn how to march. I did learn how to pivot. I learned how to stand. I learned how not to lock my knees. We used to march in parades. I learned probably the rankings. Like, I learned that the rankings, like chain of command. And ultimately, I feel like the military is just like any other system. It's like, it's this kissing of ass. There's a fine line of kissing of ass and trying to still remain yourself, and not be someone's puppet, because you can easily be someone's puppet. Yeah. It's a lot that goes into that. Like, I learned a lot, and I ain't gonna even lie. I probably would have built a career off of military had I not gotten pregnant with Charlotte. Like, I was about to enlist in I was about to go into a program so that I could get my schooling paid for. I was gonna go in, and I think I could have became a lieutenant through the program I was in, that I wanted to get in at VCU. So it was the ROTC program there. And yeah. So I loved my experiences there for the education purposes. Like, we had balls. Like I said, we would march in the parades each year. They had color guard, and like the people who would like do the guns and all that stuff. Like, I didn't participate in none of that shit, but it was nice to watch. And I had like friends who were really good at that shit, like really sweet. It was dope. Really good to watch, and really takes talent to practice. And I remember when it was my time to like be a rat master. Like, these are terms that we use. So when I was a rat master, like, God bless my rats. So I taught them fucking nothing. Like, my rat master taught me nothing. Tiara. I'll call out names for this because this shit don't matter. Like, but she taught me nothing. Like, right master is supposed to be like your mom and dad through this shit. Like, they're supposed to teach you how to be the best cadet that you could be. And like, I was an orphan. Like, baby, we was with everybody else but her, and sometimes she would be around. and I learned vicariously through her. I did the same shit to my rest. Like, I took them right over there to my best friend. Like, learn from her fucking group. Like, cause I can't teach you shit. I don't know this shit. Like, they didn't give me a guidebook to this, and the one I had, she ain't teach me shit. So if you was one of my rats, I'm happy that you made it through. You did good. I think one of my rats actually did pretty decent. So that lets me know he was studying on his own time and learning on his own time. So, and I run into him sometimes. It's funny. So yeah, like, the people so my experience at Franklin, the students, it was such a small group of students that, like, even though you had your cliques, like, everybody knew everybody. Like, nobody in that school did not know each other. Like, it was that small. So we all knew each other. But everybody still did what they did with who they did it with, and like, basically your clique was who you sat with at lunch. And some of us would table hop and all that stuff, but it was like, what's your home base when you get off the bus and you come in like for breakfast? What's your home base when you go to lunch? So like, it still was like, we ate with our grade levels. Or did we all eat at the same time? And it just was like, I can't fucking remember. I just remember that there was a certain level. That was another thing. We wasn't supposed to fraternize, and that's what I'm about to talk about. Like, fraternizing is when rats talk to the older cadets and stuff like that. Having a relationship like the dude that was in charge used to say, I know his name, I just having a lapse. He used to be like, I'm not your drinking buddy. And we just used to had to follow that rule. No one followed it. I mean, I did, but no one else followed it. Like, I did not mingle on that level with any upperclassmen until I got like out of school. But there was a lot of sexual abuse in that school too. I'm just sorry. No one wants to say it, but like there was people of age groups that shouldn't have been with age groups, and that shit was wild. And you know, it happens though. So maybe they want to rethink the ages of high school and who they lump together, because it happens. There was even talks about, I don't know how true it is, but it was talks about like the teachers having a relationship with the students, which was crazy. But sexual abuse comes in so many forms, and they not my stories to tell, but I will just say that unofficially, that's what I heard. Education wise, every morning we used to stand outside. We would have formation. You had your Alpha Charlie Bravo, and then you had the niggas that was in charge in front. I don't feel like all that shit for his names and stuff like that. And then we would have like the raising of the flag, the whole little process, blistering heat, shivering cold. Feel like fucking Prince Charming. But we used to do that every morning. So it was like Bouchard, but for a different purpose. And so like that's where you would hear like morning announcements or just things for that day, the upcoming week, whatever. Which meant that you missed homeroom, because that shit would go over. Like it went over more times than it did not. You would miss most of first period sometimes. So I had one teacher, she was a chemistry teacher, and I think she was dealing with some mental health stuff. And because she had got burned in a fire, and she definitely was cool with certain students, and then like she would just go off a handle with others. I ended up seeing her in the hospital one time, and she was putting on a show in the hospital, which let me know like she was having some mental health issues probably when we was younger. I just was looking at her like she was crazy, but she wasn't crazy. She was actually real. Like her way of going about it was fucked up, but she was upset that formation was cutting in her teaching time. So what she would do is like threaten us though. She would be like, well, if y'all don't tell him like to release y'all by a certain time, like I'm gonna have to start giving y'all D's for the morning assignments, like because y'all not getting y'all work done. And I get it, the pressures of SOLs was on her. So by this time, SOLs wasn't this foreign thing. SOLs were a thing that it was here to stay. George Bush had officially, did the No Child Left Behind thing, all that stuff. So testing was basically if your students wasn't passing, it looked bad on the teacher, it looked bad on the administration, it looked bad on the school district, and if your school became unaccredited, then that meant you were threatened by federal government, by the state to come in, and that changes your whole curriculum and how things is done, and I think makes things far more worse than what it is to begin with. But yes, so she was getting pressure on her end, because I think, what was her class? I can't remember what her class was. I think it was a science class, but that was another thing too. Like I was put in classes with older kids because I was in more advanced classes. Like pretty much by the time I got to 11th grade, I could have graduated, but they wanted to prolong it. So like I basically would do morning classes and then go to tech, and then same thing with 12th grade. It was like morning classes, and then I would leave and go to work. So it was like I literally could have graduated in 11th grade. I don't know why we prolonged it. I could have took all the classes in 11th grade and just been out of there. But whatever. So what happened? What was that? Oh, education wise, for me, it was soul sucking. Another situation where I don't mind is a doubles workshop, and checked out mentally. Definitely would skip classes and go to my teacher's class that I actually liked. Classes that I do remember being fun was keyboarding. I know keyboarding being fun, but our teacher was fun. And I liked that class. We didn't have because it was such a small school, we didn't have a lot of electives, so I don't remember electives. We didn't have a lot of after school programs, even though, you know, people who participated in certain stuff like color guard or some of the other shit I can't think right now, but like stuff like that you could stay after school. But like official like after school I don't remember nothing. If we wanted to play sports, we could get permission to play sports at our home school, or at Armstrong. I remember, yeah, we could do Armstrong as well. So education, I remember having two really great English teachers. One of the English teachers, I still talk to her to this day. Another one of my Delta people who's imprinted on me. I am probably gonna pledge Delta once I get my life together, like, because I know it's expensive. So it costs money. I'll just say that it's not expensive, but it costs money. So once I get myself where I have a roof over my head, well, I have one now, but I'm just saying, you know, a little more stability, I definitely want to pledge Delta. Like that, they imprinted, the Delta's imprinted on me, because I know some alphas too, but like the Delta's imprinted on me. Like the alphas I know, not alphas, excuse me, I guess y'all, not alphas, AKAs, excuse me, it was the AKAs. I know some of those, and no, I know some of those people. Like a lot of my OES sisters are like AKAs, and I love y'all, and y'all are dear to my heart. But baby, like, I feel like my ancestors were probably Delta. Like, I feel like, yeah, they probably were Delta, because it felt right. And I never like formally learned anything besides Googling. Outside of Google, I don't know much about it besides it being, you know, a sorority. So I know why its existence happened and all that stuff like that, like the history of it, but like I don't know the inner workings of it. But just like any other secret thingy, it's definitely about giving back to society. So people just fear what they don't know. But yeah, so she's dope. I learned a lot about SOLs from her, and I learned a lot about a lot. Like, she was my English teacher. However, like, she definitely integrated learning. I learned a lot about history in her class, and the excerpts she gave us to read. Like, she gave us to read. Sometimes she would go the extra mile and like give me something extra to do, because I would finish stuff, and we'd also have conversations that foster learning. And I remember her when she first explained SOLs to me, and I used to ask questions, because she was, you know, like, I think she was casually talking about, like, you know, SOLs was coming up, and I was like, asking, like, what is the big deal about this SOLs? Because I think by the time we got to high school, it became like some teachers were teaching to the test, like, and that's where I learned test taking skills, because I think some teachers had this sense of awareness that, like, a lot of the reason we were failing was not because we weren't smart enough. It was because we just simply didn't know how to take a test. And it was test taking skills, right? Process of elimination. Like, I never knew nothing about process of elimination. Like dissecting the wording of the problems and all that stuff. Like, none of that. So it was bringing strategy to test taking. So, like, even if, like, let's say you confused between some answers, like, trying to use process of elimination is always a big one. Going with that gut instinct sometimes is the best thing, not to overthink it. So, like, just taking these test taking strategies and utilizing that. I hated teachers that taught to the test. However, I'm gonna have to give y'all some praise and some thanks, because y'all taught me some test taking skills that came in handy when I was taking tests that I had no study hours for. So when I say I can take a test without literally always knowing the information fully and passing, I can do that. And that's why I think tests are bullshit. Because they don't really test what you know. You could be having a bad day and you didn't test well. You could not know how to test, period. And you know all the information. So with her, we were talking and she mentioned about SOLs. I don't even know if she remembered this conversation, but I remember she mentioned that, they base the test scores on the teacher's ability to teach. And I felt like that's such bullshit. Why would you do that? So when it came time to take her test, I got advanced scores for most of my SOLs. Like I said, that was just bare minimum. When it came time to take her test, though, like, she fostered so much learning in me. Usually when I take reading tests, I skim through that shit and I pick whatever best answer I know or makes sense from me skimming through. For hers, I sat there and I read each and every fucking passage on that test and carefully answered each question on that test. And that was the SOL where I think I missed like 1 or 2 questions. I had a very high score. It was like a 197 or something like that. It was almost perfect score. And I tried. That's why, because I literally sat there and tried for her test. And reading was something I did in my like spirit time. Like I've read since I was a little girl. It was escapism for me. That's where I could pick up a book and get the fuck away from the world that I lived and existed in. And so it was nothing that no one had to teach me about reading at that point. It was just me caring. And she did teach me, don't get me wrong, like, but I already had reading comprehension and reading ability. It was just that she was teaching me, new things through reading, like history stuff. And she was big on history. So, like, it was a lot of integration with history. And I appreciated that. Like, I remember reading Letters to Birmingham for the first time in her class. And loved it. And yeah, I learned a lot in her class. I don't even think she realized it. I always tell her, like, I think she be thinking I'm playing. Like, no. Like, you the bomb.com. And she's still an educator to this day, and a great one. Like, the school system that has her is so lucky to have her. That's all I can tell you. The kids are lucky to have her. Yes, so that was her. And then I also remember another English teacher. No one liked him, but some people loved him. excuse me, me and him used to go at it sometimes. Like, he would be like, white, get out. Like, I done spent time in the